Families, relationships, and health. Temi Talk by Alida.
In Africa and in Nigeria, it tends to be people tend to be, we are more communal. We tend to, check a bit more up on each other. So I don't think loneliness and isolation is a major issue. But because we are beginning to adopt sort of like Western, we want to go and visit an aunt or a cousin, a niece, and all that. So that's well, loneliness and isolation remain key predictors of poor mental health. The way God designed the human mind was to connect. It is just it's like a fish out of water. If you are not connecting with other people, and then issues begin to crop up. So quality relationships do matter, like I've been talking about. But I would say that in as much as quality relationships matter, and it's actually been shown that toxic relationships are actually worse for one's mental health than being alone. So I would rather that Temitope has done a fantastic job of talking about wholeness, emotional wholeness, and all that, and learning to you are a single person. I know it's not fashionable to be in a lot of cultures to be single, but I'd rather a single person than a single person in a relationship who is where there's abuse, where there's manipulation, where there's control, all of those things. So this is just to highlight the importance of healthy relationships and how it impacts on our mental health. So as humans, we, like I mentioned earlier, we are designed to connect. That's just from scriptures. Adam, when God created Adam, of course, God knew that there was the need. Of course, there were animals and all that that God had created, but he saw that there was a need for him to have a companion, and God created Eve. Things took off from there. So the way we are built is to connect with. I think is to connect first with God because He's our creator, and then to I think this is where I think a lot of people have issues, and I think for a lot of patients I see and people who struggle with their mental health, there is a place for actually connecting with ourselves in a healthy way, and then the relationship with others. I think we've said a lot. Previous speakers have talked about relationships, in physical health and all that, but this is also a very important aspect. So connecting with God, connecting with ourselves, because we need to have a relationship with ourselves, then also having a relationship with others. So I'm just going to talk about that briefly, and the benefits of all of those sorts of connections. So connecting with God, whatever I'm a Christian, so I would say connecting with God. Some people might say connecting with the universe or connecting with the higher being. But it's been shown over and over again who are the place of spirituality and religion plays a very, it's quite important in how in having good mental health. So as psychiatrists, we would encourage, even as part of our treatment and therapy, for those people who are religious to have to pray, to spend time in their religious communities. So I know in a few psychiatric units I've worked in, here in the UK and even in Nigeria, there are units where you would have sections where you can, if you're a Muslim, you could go and pray. If you're a Christian, there's like a place assigned for prayer, for meditation, and for fellowship and all those things. Because those things, research has shown that religious practices, reduces mental health problems, anxiety, depression. So there's having a strong connection with God gives you a strong sense of purpose. You feel that God has created you for something, that there's value you have to add to the world, that there is you're not just a mass of flesh, really, but that are here to give something. So I mean, having a relationship with God or a higher Christian, so I'm saying God, but for people maybe who practice other religions, it does create that sense of purpose. Also, I mean, a sense of connectedness to your Creator. I've had conversations with people, and they will say, when they are struggling in certain areas, in certain things, especially with their mental health, and say I feel like there's a hollow, I feel like there's a, there's this hollow in my heart, and I'm trying to fill it with alcohol or drugs or engaging in certain addictions. I just can't seem to fill that void. A lot of the times, I think that void is actually supposed to be filled by having a relationship with God. So and then in the course of having a relationship with God, definitely I think an interaction with God gives you direction, gives you a sense of purpose, helps you to correct certain mindsets that may not be working in your advantage, helps you change your character, and it just helps you navigate life. So connection with God, I think is very, very key. And the reason why a lot of people struggle with their mental health is because they haven't given attention to these aspects, this aspect of their relationship. So connection with self. So a healthy relationship with yourself is very important. And it has many advantages. It gives you a sense of boundary. So as an individual, as a person, you are defined by your person. So you are you have strengths, weaknesses, your personality traits, your preferences, your emotions, your will, all of those things. Those things, give us a sense of self. But once we start to lose this sense of self and we don't seem to have these defined boundaries, then we start to have issues with mental health. A healthy relationship with self, self-esteem, self-confidence, resilience. I mean, things like self-love. I mean, I didn't hear about things like self-love and things. I mean, taking good care of yourself, attending to your mind, attending to your body, attending to your thoughts, attending to your own needs. You as a person, you are valuable, you are important, and and it's important that you have a good relationship with yourself. I think it's also important that we learn to forgive ourselves. A lot of the times, I know we all have this voice in our head. So we have a head voice, a voice that is like when we are by ourselves, we have the voices, we are speaking to ourselves. And a lot of the times, if we are speaking negatively to, we are putting ourselves down, we are thinking of ourselves in negative ways, then, in a lot of ways, it actually translates out. So as a man thinks, so is he. So I have this practice, and it's something I tend to do. I try to do almost daily. That when at the end of the day, because I know I would have made some mistakes unintentionally, intentionally, and those things sort of, if those things are not addressed, and they build up eventually, and you can actually build up resentment against yourself. So there's this practice I have of, at the end of the day, so I tell myself, okay, I forgive myself, for whatever I may have done unintentionally, a mistake I made, an error I made. I show myself first that love that, we are quick to say, I forgive somebody else, or this person hurt me and I forgive that person. But I don't think, so a lot of the time, I think we are quick to want to do that to ourselves. So I think that's important, and that's important for our mental health. Yeah. I'm not going to talk so much about this because I think Timmy has done a fantastic job, and the other speakers in the previous weeks have done a fantastic job talking about relationship with others. We've talked about finding the link. And so it's not just about finding a link. I think it's finding a healthy link. And when you find a healthy link that you get, it brings all of this benefits, having a strong, a sense of belonging. So we when we have a connection or a good relationship with other people, we have a strong sense of belonging. It gives us this sense of security and safety that, oh, I trust this person. I'm safe with this person. I feel like I feel if I speak with this person, that this person is actually looking out for my interests. So these are some of the benefits. And of course, there's a support system that we have when we connect with other people, because life is full of up and downs, and there are times when we will need people's support. We want to speak to somebody about something we are struggling with. So if you are isolated or you don't have a strong community, or you don't have, all of those things have ways of affecting one's mental health. So I'll just go straight to the effects of dysfunctional relationships on mental health. There are a myriad of, from anxiety, people struggling with, just filled with worry, filled with a lot of uncertainty about the future. And this can come about from having, really being in dysfunctional relationships, depression. The World Health Organization, this research is showing that I think in another 5 years, it will become the highest highest rated illness that is, for causing deaths among young adults. So it's actually a serious mental illness. And when there's dysfunction in relationships, people can experience depression. And then there's addiction, people struggling with alcohol or excessive alcohol use, using cocaine, using other psychoactive drugs rather. And then sleep disturbances, struggling insomnia, and the previous speakers, some of the previous speakers are speaking about the importance of sleep and on one's health. And I think sleep is also vital to one's mental health. And then, of course, we've heard about suicide. People who have been involved in really dysfunctional relationships, domestic violence, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, those things can result in a person harming themselves or taking their life. And then homicide, sadly, there was, I know there was one, that's an example that recently happened about a pastor, I think it was in the US, who had been, who I think he was estranged from his wife, and then there's this video that was going around that went viral when the lady, I think she went to the house with her siblings to kind of retrieve some important documents. And while she was there, he assaulted her, and her siblings were trying to defend her and all that. And he made a threat and said he was going to kill her. He said he was going to kill her. And truly, he actually took a gun and went to her workplace, and he shot her in broad daylight in front of a lot of people. So, these things, we've heard of people who have been physically abused by their partners, and, there are quite a number of really sad stories of people in really dysfunctional situations. And then there's prolonged grief, when there's dysfunction in relationships, it can result in many things: divorce, separation, the effect on, so, from loss of relationship prolonged grief is also one of the things that can affect one's mental health. And then there's personality disorders. So children who have experienced trauma growing up from, maybe being in an abusive home, or they have been physically or sexually abused, end up having, it kind of distorts the growth of their person. So every one of us, as our physical bodies grow, our human, our personality is also, is also supposed to grow and be well formed. We should be able to form healthy connections with other people. We should be able to manage our emotions. We should be able to, deal with the stresses of life. But if people find themselves in dysfunctional relationships, and it cuts across from childhood, adulthood, it can actually cause personality disorder. I've also mentioned domestic violence too, as its effects on. I mentioned it earlier, the effects of um, mental health. So it's quite important. The connection between the relationships around us and our mental health is so important. Um, so just to conclude, it's worth investing in your relationship. So your relationship with God, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with other people. Is the time worth investing. I know there is the expectation of success that, oh, I want to attain, I must be a billionaire by whatever age, I must have certain possessions. But I think at the end of the day, people who really consider themselves successful in relationships, because those are the things that matter. Really, is how people remember you, not for the Lamborghini you drove or for the mansion you built. They will remember you for the kindness. They will remember you for your kind words, your presence, your support. Those are the things they're going to remember you for. And also to remember that it's a worthy investment because it reduces the risk for mental illness. So you may think, oh, why should I invest in my relationship? It's actually reducing the risk for all sorts of mental illness. So meaningful relationships boost your mental health. And when your mental health is good, it also boosts your relationships. Thank you all for listening. Happy all.
Thank you so much, Mojisola. That was a really beautiful presentation, really helpful. And thank you so much, Amy Ivare. That was like very elaborate discussion about women's health. And I think we've really, really gained a lot from this session today, and it's been really impactful. Just two things I'll highlight on regarding lifestyle before I let us go would be regarding work-life balance and polypharmacy. And I think I'll take the latter first. And I think in some cultures, we just take things. We are not very concerned about what we take. We just hear that, oh, this medicine is good, give me some. Oh, that one is also very good, bring it. And we just take a lot of medication such that by the time we get to a particular age, we're taking loads and loads of medication. And many times we don't realize that these medications react with each other and might cause problems down the line. So just something to keep in mind, just like a footnote. And the other thing is about work-life balance. And thank you so much, Mojisola, for your presentation about loving yourself, loving God, loving others. I think there's no way we are able to love others if we do not have a sense of worth in ourselves and if we do not feel loved. And this is many times important because when we know that God loves us and we've accepted his love, then it's easy to love ourselves because then we see the value he has placed on us and we're able to see the value in other people. And that is so important. So that was really, really, really important. And sometimes that self-love translates into a work-life balance. And in different places, especially this part of the world where there are bills all the time, there's a need to deliver, there are expectations. People sometimes push themselves so hard to the limits such that they then become unwell. They are not able to function in their normal relationships. And it's as though they're getting the short end of the stick and are putting every other person before themselves. And I think it's so important that we take time for ourselves to show ourselves love. So I'm relating this to what Dr. Adeniji has said about loving ourselves. And I don't think that can be overemphasized. I think they have made so many, many, many impactful statements in their discussions today. Thank you so much, Shola Fatola and Dr. Akintunde Orumuyi and Dr. Amy Ivare and Dr. Mojisola Adeniji. Much, much appreciated. And I will just share the screen one more time so that we see what is happening. What is happening going forward as we round up. I think I would look at the comments shortly. So I just wanted to finish this slide, just a minute. Okay, so we've had these sessions today ending with Dr. Mojisola, and I hope you found the sessions useful. We are having a Q&A tomorrow. Because of how extensive the discussion has been today, we will not be having a recap of today's discussion. So it's a good thing that we're all here. And then all the questions that have come from this session will be passed on to the speakers so that they can thrash them out tomorrow. And thank you for staying so long with us. This is the last weekend of 10, and these 10 weekend sessions have been a great learning curve for myself and an absolute delight. Tomorrow will be our last session on Find the Link Relationships on this series. And a big thank you to every contributor, every supporter, and everyone who has attended, made comments, or asked questions. You've made it more beautiful each time. Thank you so much. What's next? We're going to have some more Find the Link sessions, hopefully coming by March 2021, God sparing us all. 2020 has been an amazing year, and by God's grace, 2021 would be greater. Please stay tuned. And the aims of the session, like some of us already know, are to enlighten, inspire, empower, and give. And so many people here have given to us of themselves. We've had speakers speaking so passionately about the different topics. We could see Dr. Ibari extremely passionate about women's health, and Dr. Akintunde passionate about men's health, everyone is really passionate about these things, and they're really giving to us from themselves. And I appreciate them really for taking time with us today. That's myself. Please keep in touch via Facebook. Living Your Dreams with the Praising Child is a page. YouTube, there's Temitope Praising Child. You will find the first 2 sessions, the welcome session and session 1 on there. You can follow Twitter, Praising Child, and the online group continues. You could send an email with your feedback to temitopepraisingchild@gmail.com for more details, and there's a feedback form if you're still keen. Thank you so much. The way we spend our time defines who we are, and that is saying thank you again. So till the next time, stay in peace, shine your light, use your power. That's how we always end the meetings. I was saying that I was going to ask questions about what sessions we've had before for those that were attentive, but I think our time has really gone past. So I'll just read some of the comments, and thank you all for staying. Okay, I'm hearing thank yous. I can see some questions. Someone has said a lot of people are experiencing these issues. Okay, all right. I think I'll get the other questions, maybe because I went out, and I'm so sorry about the breaking transmission. It was technical issues. Mrs. Ayedu, Professor Ayedu, I see you. Dr. Adeton Faloye, thanks for joining us. Mr. I don't know, I can see Darish Oshinoiki, thank you very much for joining us. Ayomide, Adrian, Mr. Adewale, thank you. Omotola, I see you. Ezine, thanks so much. Tolu Alalade, thank you very much. Thank you so much. Galaxy J7 Door, I don't know you, but thank you for showing up. God bless you. I did see some other people. Mr. Olu, I just said, thank you very much. Layo, thank you. Olanike Uwem, thank you. Kemi, I see you. Kemi Tuta, thanks so much for showing up. Ileri Ifeoluwa Kiye, thank you very much for joining us. That's a mouthful. To the speakers again, thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Ibari, Dr. Fatola, Dr. Adeniji, and Dr. Orumi. God bless you. And see you tomorrow, hopefully for the Q&A, which is many, many times usually as exciting, if not more exciting than the main session. So don't miss it. Thank you so much, everyone, and bye.